What's up, gentlemen? How are you? Happy Wednesday. Today is one of the great days of the year. That's right, the NHL season is starting. Puck drop tonight. I can't wait. And I thought I would throw it out. I know I missed a couple driving with Gingers. It's been a little hectic, both at home and at work, just trying to get things all settled down here between renovations and duties and all that stuff. So I thought I'd throw a special weekday edition of Driving with Gingers, DWG NHL Puck Drop 2019-2020 season premiere. So let's get right into it. I'm just going to throw a bunch of stuff out there, and we'll see where it goes. In terms of divisions, we have 4 divisions still. We still have 31 teams until Seattle joins the league. I think it's in 2 years. So in 2 years from now, we'll have 32 teams, same amount as the NFL. We have 4 divisions. The strongest division, I would say, would be the Central Division in terms of teams, followed by the Atlantic, and then I would say the Metro, and then the Pacific would be the weakest, which is kind of weird because it actually has the fewest teams. So, but I would say of all the divisions, the Pacific would be the one that will have the most amount of teams miss the playoffs. And the Central and the Atlantic, I think, will both have 5 teams in the playoffs this year. So, who are they going to be? Who are they going to be? Well, I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of people that are predicting the Pittsburgh Penguins to win the Metro Division. I think the Pittsburgh Penguins are either going to be wild card number 2 or they're going to miss the playoffs altogether. I know that's a bold take. Their goaltending has been a little bit shaky. They've got obviously they got Malkin and Crosby, but Galchenyuk is a significant decrease from Kessel in terms of point production, even though the room might be better. And they have nobody on defense, like nobody. So for me, the Pittsburgh Penguins are a bubble team. That's my hot take. Who's going to win the Metro? Well, that's a tough question because there's some teams that they're potentially going to be really good, and there's some teams that are going to fight for playoff spots. I think a lot of the bubble teams are going to be, Pittsburgh would be up there. Not quite sure what we're going to see from the Islanders yet. They have some potential there. The Rangers, even though they are a bottom feeder and rebuilding, have some very good young players and could be very dangerous. However, I do think that they will not make the playoffs because they've got too many players that are entering their first year, second year, and they need a little bit more experience. They got lots of experience in goal, but unfortunately that experience is expired. Henrik Lundqvist will have a tough time moving around with the speed, and if this isn't his last year, it's probably his second last year. The New Jersey Devils are very interesting. I think the New Jersey Devils are going to fight for a wild card 1, potentially. We're not quite sure there, but I think the New Jersey Devils are a team that is a big wild card. I think the Flyers, the Hurricanes, and the Capitals, I think those are teams that can kind of flirt with the top 3. However, all the love that Carolina's getting with their young talent and speed, they have 0 goaltending. Peter Mrazek and James Reimer are both second-tier backup goalies at best. They have no goaltending. So unless they're going to score 2 goals per game more than any other team they're playing against, Carolina's another bubble team for me. So by default, I think Washington is probably a big favorite. I think the Devils are a pretty good team. And believe it or not, I think the Philadelphia Flyers are a top 3 team in the Metro. In the Atlantic, like I said, it's a very strong division. I think the team that is going to really have to grind out to make a playoff spot is the Montreal Canadiens. They have a lot of great pieces. They've got a lot of young, good players. They've got a great goalie if he can stay healthy. I just think the reason it's going to be harder for them is because they're playing against really good teams quite frequently. Their strength of schedule is really, really hard. So They're going to be in that wild card conversation, and probably wild card 2 with Pittsburgh. I think those two teams are going to fight for that WC2. And I think when it comes to the top of the division, I still think Tampa's the tops of the division, but I do think Toronto is closing the gap. Boston is there as well, and certainly Boston has some pretty good depth. I think they're a little bit longer in the tooth than they were last year, and we keep saying they're getting older and older. They do have a lot of good young players, and I like the makeup of their team. They're a gritty team. It's really going to come down to if Boston can stay healthy, and the health is probably more attributed to the age factor of that team than anything. If they don't stay healthy, I think they're going to be third or wild card 1. If they do stay healthy, I think they can definitely slot right in there in second or third in the Atlantic. I think the team that is going to make the playoffs, that didn't make them last year, are the Florida Panthers. They have some new additions. I'm still a little, I wouldn't say concerned, but I'm still wondering if they have enough forward depth in their bottom 6 and in their D. They need a little bit more help on their D, but they've got a good solid goaltending, and that was one of their Achilles heels, over the years. They've got one of the best young players in the game in Barkov, and Huberdeau actually had over 90 points last year. Nobody talks about him. So those are the teams I think that are going to kind of be right in the mix. I don't think the Sens are, even though they're getting better. I do think one thing about the Ottawa Senators is Thomas Chabot is going to, if he stays healthy, he's going to be in the consideration or conversation for the Norris Trophy. I think Thomas Chabot is a breakout player. He was already a breakout player last year. I actually think Thomas Chabot's going to lead their team in scoring this year. I think Thomas Chabot is the next coming of Erik Karlsson for the Ottawa Senators. And I think that's also the reason why they signed him to an 8-year, $8 million contract, because they realize that he is the next Erik Karlsson for that franchise. So for the Ottawa Senators, Thomas Chabot is my pick to win or to lead the team in scoring, and I do think he'll be in the top. I think he'll be in the top 6 for Norris Trophy voting this year. In the West, boy, is it ever tough to be in the Central Division. I'm telling you, the West is so tough in that division. The one team I don't think is going to make the playoffs that has always been there recently are the Winnipeg Jets. I don't think they have enough on their back end. And I think what's going to happen is that's going to force their goaltending to work too hard and end up fatiguing. So even though they've got enough scoring on their top 2 lines, I don't think they have enough depth up front, and I don't think they certainly have enough depth on D, even if Bufflin does come back. So the Winnipeg Jets will miss the playoffs. That's my prediction there. I think the Chicago Blackhawks will flirt with the playoffs. I think the Chicago Blackhawks, if they can get some goaltending from Robin Lehner, I think the Chicago Blackhawks can make the playoffs. And I know a lot of people are saying they aren't or they can't. I also think Alex DeBrincat is going to score 50 goals this year. So there's your 2 bold predictions. The Winnipeg Jets not making the playoffs. Alex DeBrincat is going to score 50 goals this year. In terms of everything else in that division, I know St. Louis obviously just came off winning the Cup. But I don't think their game is tailored to regular season. You got to be more of a thoroughbred in the regular season. I think they're a team that's that plays just too heavy to go long distance in terms of leading the pack. So they're more of a hybrid or a Clydesdale. So I think the team that is going to win the division is going to be the Dallas Stars. They added Joe Pavelski. And if they stay healthy, I think Tyler Seguin's going to have a bounce back year. I think he's a guy that'll be in the top 10 in scoring. maybe even top 5. He had 80-some points last year. I think he's going to flirt with 90+. And then, of course, you've got a couple other teams there that are in the mix. Nashville, I think Nashville and Dallas are the 2 teams that are going to fight for that top spot. And then I think behind them is St. Louis and then Chicago. I know I'm forgetting somebody, but Winnipeg is out. I think Winnipeg is out this year. And the Pacific, pretty much the same as last year. Calgary, Vegas, and San Jose, maybe. Edmonton is not a better team. They are not going to make the playoffs, even though James Neal will score 30 goals. And that'll affect that draft pick that they made with Lucic. And then Calgary, I think, is going to come back to the pack a little bit. I think they got worse in goal. Calgary still is like, I don't like Calgary's goaltending at all. And so I think David Rittich and Cam Talbot is not a goaltending duo that you can win a cup with, I don't think. So I think Vegas is going to take that division. They're going to bounce back, and I think Calgary's probably going to slot down even maybe behind San Jose. LA is still rebuilding. Edmonton's still rebuilding. Vancouver is a team that I think is actually going to fight for a wild card. I think Vancouver has got a really, really good team. If they can get some goaltending, I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. They got a little bit more grit, and if they can stay healthy. But I also think on top of James Neal scoring 30, the Winnipeg Jets being out, DeBrincat scoring 50, I think Elias Pettersson is also going to have a massive year. I actually think he's going to score. I think he's going to score 100 points. I'm going to just say it right now. I think Pettersson's going to score 100 points this year. He is that good, and he's better. He's worked on his shot over the off season, and I think that Pettersson's going to score 100. So there's 4 predictions in the West. I threw some predictions in the East. Who else? What else do I want to say? Kucherov. He'll have another 100-point season. He won't get as many as last year, though. I think Sebastian Aho is going to get quite a few points, but I think Braden Point is going to have more points than Aho. And don't give me this garbage that he's playing with better players. Aho is going to see more minutes, and Braden Point, even though he plays second-line power play time and sometimes first-line power play time, his points aren't secondary assists, they're goals. He scored 41 goals last year, and he didn't play with Kucherov or Stamkos last year. He played with Tyler Johnson and Yanni Gourde. Tyler Johnson and Yanni Gourde are third-line players in the league and not second-line players anymore. So Braden Point was carrying that line last year, and he'll do the same this year. I don't think he'll get 50, but he'll put another 40 up on the board. If Austin Matthews is healthy, he's going to score 50 goals this year. That's definitely going to happen. And Mitch Marner's going to get 100 assists. I'm going to say it right now. Mitch Marner 100 assists, Austin Matthews, and then I got a little side bet with the German, and he thinks William Nylander is going to have 85 points. And I said that Kevin Hayes is going to score minimum 65 and be within 6 points of William Nylander this year. So there's my prediction for the Flyers. And I'll throw one more Flyer prediction out there. Carter Hart will have a better save percentage and goals against average in his second season than Carey Price did in his second season. So there's your bold predictions for this year. 2019, 2020. If you haven't already, or you're interested, join Shawzy's hockey pool. It's just simply on officepools.com. It's $20. He's raising money for Hockey Helps the Homeless. It's good until 7 o'clock tonight. If you need more information, just reach out to me or Shawzy. It's $20. Again, we're helping the homeless. It's getting cold. Winter's around the corner. Warm meals are going to be needed. He's doing a good thing. So, and plus, it's bragging rights. So, if one of the guys that we know wins, Tomcat Cup. I'll say it right now. And if you're looking for my handle, it's Hockey IQ. I'm gonna beat all your fucking asses. So just get prepared for that. And if you want chirps, you're gonna get chirps as well. Philadelphia Flyers start their season overseas against the Chicago Blackhawks. I'm not sure how it's gonna go because they got beat by a Swiss team the other day, Lausanne. But I'm not too worried because the rink they were playing in, the goalie, like, the goalies aren't used to, like, the NHL goalies aren't used to the sight lines and all that stuff. It throws all your stuff off. So I'm not worried about Carter Hart. He'll be fine. He'll adjust and he'll be fine. Like I said, he's going to have better goals against average and save percentage than Carey Price did in his second year. And I'll get those numbers, and I'll be sure to share them with everybody. So I'll be watching the Leafs tonight. I got my blue and white on today. I'll send a little video with my blue and white suit today, rocking the crushed velvet, and ready to go. Bruins tonight as well. Looking forward to Marchand doing his Marchand thing at the start of the season. Sucker punching, being a ratty that he is. You know, the best thing that the Bruins did in the offseason was hire Sophia Jurvoskic, or whatever the hell her name is, who's from Toronto, and she's their beat writer. So if you're watching Bruins games, she's down pre-game on the bench. She's a rocket, an absolute rocket. Great personality. That was the best thing the Bruins did in the offseason. So anyways, I'm looking forward to it, boys. Let's have some fun tonight. Let's go.